This meeting is being recorded.
All right, Aaron, you good? Yeah. All right, morning, everybody. Another bi-weekly kind of oil change news podcast, whatever we're going to call this thing, I guess. We are, if anyone does not want to be a part of the YouTube video, we are going to start posting these on YouTube and repurposing the content for branding purposes. I think it will help with the overall brand as well as the SEO for the website, which will affect all the franchisees, because once the sites are up and running, you're going to want to be top of search results. And the best way to do that is the different types of content that you can post. And so anybody that doesn't want to be a part of that, just get rid of your video and mute yourself. But if you guys are okay with it, we're going to record these videos and post them on YouTube and then repurpose the snippets, especially if we do Q&A. I'm going to let Brendan talk first because he's got a ton on his plate right now. So I'm going to let him kind of go into what he did this week in terms of the oil change business. And then I'm going to let him hop back to his desk so he can get back to work. So,
yeah, go ahead. Some of you know I was in Cleveland the past couple days and took that trip out there to do a pop-up visit to our two stores in the Cleveland market at Minter on the Lake and Westlake. Wanted to go in there and see how our brands were and how our standards were being upkept, how our signage was, all that kind of stuff that you're going to want to know, especially if you're going to be an absentee or semi-absentee. You're going to want to check into your stores. But so I went out there and really good stuff, a lot of good progress with those stores. I know that the winter months are kind of hard for the business. In Cleveland, especially, I had to actually leave early than I wanted to because they had a huge snowstorm coming in there. So I caught the tail end of it as I was leaving. So, but yeah, so some good things that I saw. Customer service was great at both stores. Obviously, the managers there really know how to greet the customer and get them in the bays really quickly. Some of the bad things that I saw was organizational stuff, making sure that your tanks are where they're supposed to be, oil filters are being stocked correctly and where they're supposed to be. And all of that stuff is just, you can tweak things and put processes in place to fix that. But other than that, it was really good, making sure that if you're in an area that's going to get a lot of rain or snow, you're going to want to make sure that your floors are dry and stuff like that. So I made sure to implement that kind of stuff, making sure that they're squeegeeing out the water so there's no trip or hazards or fall risks. But other than that, it was a great trip, really successful on our end. And I implore everybody to do the same thing to their shops. If you have multiple shops, make sure that you're doing trips and pop-up visits if you're not going to be there every day or every week or every month. Other than that, it was a great trip, tiring but very good trip, and good progress for our managers too.
Yeah, so what Brandon essentially did is a mystery shopper for us, an unannounced trip to, go outside, walk around the building, make sure that everything's upkept. Because we're off the Great Lakes, there's a lot of wind and Minter on the Lake, so some of the siding needed to be repaired, things like that. So, Brandon, you can go back to your desk and I'll take it from here, but I appreciate it and get some rest later. So one of the things that Brendan just touched on is the organization in terms of where things are. And it's important for our business because we quantify our service. And 95% of the cars that come through our doors are going to be 10 minutes or less. And one of the reasons that I decided to have the 10-minute oil change moniker in our actual branding was to quantify the service in terms of the time. Because at the end of the day, we're selling people their time back. And so when you're doing this service and you're going through our processes, it's important to save yourself 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there, because they add up to 30 seconds and a minute really quickly. So if you don't have your those 8 spin-on filters that comprise of 85% of cars on the road at your fingertips, if you don't have your 15 millimeter socket within your fingertips, if you let it lay somewhere because of the car you did, 5 minutes earlier, that adds on 10 seconds and 13 seconds. And as part of our commitment to being a business that sells people their time back, it's important for us to make sure we're adhering to those kind of standards. One thing, what I wanted to talk about outside of Brandon's trip today was a little bit more on the kind of macro labor market that's going on right now. I've probably talked about it every single time we've done this video so far, but I think there's statistics that are coming out that are showing that this might be a little longer term than people anticipate. The whole gig economy, actually, I'm going to take a step back for a second. The reason this actually is at the forefront of my mind is last night I used Fiverr, which I implore everybody on this call to get familiar with the website Fiverr. It's fiverr.com. It's basically a marketplace for the gig economy. And when people use the term gig economy, it refers to Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, Fiverr, GigBucks, any marketplace where you can, on a one-off basis, hire anybody to be a contractor. This is kind of the direction that a lot of people are moving. And what we've seen is a mass flow of people out of high-cost states into lower-cost states. And where there might have been two people working in the household now, maybe there's one person working in the household, a normal job, and the other person is supplementing their income by doing Postmates or by driving for DoorDash or things like that. And so people have lowered their standards in terms of the amount of revenue necessary to sustain the lifestyle that they want to live, because they'll trade dollars for their time back, which is at the end of the day our whole premise. Fortunately for us, all of these gig economy jobs are based around driving. And so you look at Valvoline's stock price right now, I think they just hit a 52-week high. Not to, toot their horn or anything, but I think they're good, as a publicly traded company, they're a good view of the macro market for us. But I hired someone on Fiverr the other day to fix some of the bugs on our training website. And it was, $15 and within a half hour, something that if I had hired a programmer or, had an in-house website designer, it would have been much more expensive. And so the gig economy is here to stay. I think that we can utilize it to our advantage. But I think that is going to have kind of a larger impact on the labor market for quite some time. Again, like I said on the last time we did this call, we haven't felt this nearly as much because our guys seem to enjoy their work a little bit better than some of the other places. We're also a little bit shielded from the general labor pool because we are a niche market within the automotive space. So 90% of the guys that work for us have an interest in automotive to begin with, which means that they're going to be more engaged with their work. So all we have to do is put them in a position to succeed, which I personally think that's all employees want, is to be put in a position to succeed. You can't give tasks that they're going to fail. And if you're going to give them difficult tasks, you need to give them the tools to be able to navigate those tasks. And that's, at the end of the day, what I think employees ask for. So that was really the big thing that I wanted to talk about. The price of oil just hit a 7-year high. We haven't been passed down any new price increases. There hasn't been any new price increases announced. There is a website where you can track this called jobbersworld.com. And that will usually track the majors such as ExxonMobil, Castrol, Shell, Warren. And those guys usually, once they announce the price increase, all the other blenders kind of follow behind. So that's a good indicator. I think consumers are starting to turn the corner on trying to accept that prices are going to be higher for everything. We're not getting as much pushback on higher ticket services anymore. The full synthetics, and so we're probably going to test price increases soon. We still haven't because we're able to gain market share by not doing that. I'm going to talk about that until I'm blue in the face because our business, as a residual business, it's important to to capture market share. And so every single day that we can stay at 72.95 and Jiffy Lube and Valvoline and Take 5 are at 89 and 99.95. That's just going to be more days that we get new customers. And then 9 months from now, when those people have cycled into our oil change interval several times, it just results in a much higher car count. I haven't run our February special. I caught a 24-hour bug from my kids. I was supposed to go to Youngstown on Monday, and my youngest brought home a stomach bug to my son, who then passed it on to my wife. The 2 young ones kicked it, but my wife was out of commission for almost 48 hours, and then it's at that point almost impossible not to get it yourself, and I ended up getting it yesterday. And but I'm back in action today, and everyone's good now. But those kind of things can be disruptive, but at the same time, it also is a nice break from travel and emails. Normally on this call, I don't open it up to Q&A, but I think this would be a good time as any. Aaron, who do we have on the call today?
We have Lou, Kathy, and Taylor.
Okay, awesome. I don't know if any of you guys just want to, shout out questions. Again, it's being recorded. Want to reiterate that. So if you do, it's going to be part of any content we use. But happy to answer any questions in regards to the business world and anything ongoing with the oil change industry. Everybody's good? Everybody's
Everything on my end, Costa.
What did Lou say?
Lou, what did you say?
Nothing on my end.
Nothing?
No.
Good? Cool. All right, well, we're going to get back to work. We're going to open up Oil U to everybody. I think, Kathy, we already gave Gardner's Oil U, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so we're going to open up Oil U to everyone. It was behind not a paywall, a password, but we've been working diligently on it, and I think it's just best to leave it open to everybody, even though Oil U is the syllabus for our training when you do come in. We are going to send training dates out, and so you guys are welcome to come to whatever trainings you want, as many times as you want, but we will be sending out an email shortly with the dates for all of 2022 in-house training. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, Costa.